Traffic would be amazing getting here.
And
hey, sexy people, this is your girl Nyomi Banxxx here on Chocolate Radio, the live show. Here on Chocolate Radio, theliveshow.com. Also on Mixler.
We are Mixler.
We're on Mixler.
We are everywhere now.
We are everywhere now.
Broadcasting live.
Yes, on YouTube and Hangouts.
YouTube, yeah.
Right, exactly.
Hangouts and Chocolate Radio, theliveshow.com.
Exactly. Now, the guy right here that's talking, this is the man that knows all that is sitting on the booster seat.
I know everything. Yeah,
I had to. I had to let folks know that because I didn't want you to be taller than me.
Right, but I'm actually sitting rather tall right now. I feel superior in every sense of the word because
really?
I'm the man that knows everything about everything. Alexander DeVoe on Chocolate Radio, the live show.
Really?
Yes.
And then we got our man back there that no one see. I dog pound Mike. What's going on, baby?
what's happening? What's happening?
What's up?
All right, so are you guys ready for this?
We
I
are
mean,
ready.
because I know you emailed me.
I
Well,
did.
actually, you texted me
Yes, I did.
several different times, and I was out of the country, so I
Right.
couldn't be able to respond to you until I got home on Friday.
Yes.
And I saw you was just going nuts.
I was going in.
Yeah, you was going in.
Right.
So it's like basically what we're gonna do is we're gonna kind of piggyback off of what we talked about last week,
Yes.
as well as what Woman to Woman talked about
Right.
in their show.
Okay.
So, but we kind of make it more of a general talk about. So we kind of put it in. Where does your ethnicity fit in?
Right. But you know what? I'm gonna tell you the story first
Mhm.
because
Please do.
I had an experience
Mm-hmm.
because I used to go to Texas and do the summer thing.
Mhm.
So one day, me and my cousins were at the cemetery and we had shotguns and we were looking for stuff to shoot at the cemetery.
Mm-hmm.
So in the distance, I hear this voice say, "Watch out, Tommy! Don't go close to the niggers." And I'm just like, did this motherfucker just say
call you a nigger?
niggers?
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
I've personally experienced like something that is a topic that's very heated, and people try to, they get uncomfortable talking about it,
Mhm.
and that's racism.
Mhm.
So people today think that racism doesn't really exist,
Right.
but it's alive and well, as
Very
evidenced
much
by
so. Yes.
the event that just happened a week ago.
Right.
Right.
Mhm. All right. So let me say, I don't know if you guys been watching TV, but Obama did an interview this past weekend on a podcast.
Right.
And the big thing is that he was saying that racism is bigger than just someone just saying nigger
Right. it
out
is.
in public. And they were just amazed by the president saying nigger.
Right.
But he said niggas. Like he said it rolled off his tongue like he was talking to,
Is that the way he said?
yeah, he was like, yeah.
Nigga.
He said niggers. He didn't say nigga.
He was back in the
Niggers.
hood.
But he
Niggers.
wanted to say that,
Right.
but he said, niggers.
Right.
And I mean, and that statement that he made is so true.
Right.
This every time everybody say, don't say the N word, because if you say the N word, then you racist. But you can say everything else and do everything else, but not say nigga, and you won't be considered a racist. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
So he saying that it's bigger than just that word, nigger.
Well, it is because
Yeah.
racism is systemic. Like
Mhm.
it's a part of the culture.
Mhm.
I mean, that's where we come from. As Black people in this country. I mean, it started off being that way because it was a way to keep us subjugated and keep us submissive.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
So it's not like it's gone away. Like
No,
we
it's
see it all
not.
the time.
A couple of months ago, we did a show. Remember, we had shut everything down, and
Right.
we were talking about, I think it was the Mike Brown case. Was it the Mike Brown case? And we shut everything down. We were talking about racism at that time.
Right.
And we were doing live streaming on PS4.
Mhm.
And we had several calls from different white men that said that, why are we still talking about racism? Racism is not out there. The only reason why we're talking about it is because you guys keep bringing it up.
Right.
So my question is, who are you guys?
You guys are Black people.
Right. So that statement alone as you guys is a racist statement to me.
Well, I mean, the average white person is not going to think that there's racism in America because they are white.
Mhm.
So you know what I'm saying? Like it's like white people have actually experienced something like that.
Mhm.
So of course to them there's no racism because we're not slaves anymore.
They
You know what I'm
think
saying?
we're not slaves anymore.
Right.
but we still live in a slave mentality.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
And I talk about that.
I agree
a lot.
with you
I
on
talk
some
about
of that, but not on all of that.
I do.
And why I say that, and they ever say, "Why are you saying that, Naomi?" Because I got like a mass of text from him, as well as looking at his his
about
Twitter.
Facebook. About Facebook.
No, I didn't. I wasn't even going there.
Well, if you went to the
Facebook,
Facebook was exploding.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah. Because I saw one statement that you said, you sent me and you texted me. You said, "I am not black."
I'm not black.
Explain to me.
Well, I mean, black is a construct, right? It's like, okay, the color of my skin, I got these red tones in my skin. So if I say I'm black, it's like I don't have an identity. Like, what am I comprised of? What is my ethnicity? So black says nothing. Black is a way to strip you of your identity. I understand where it came from. It's like, okay, during the 60s, like, oh, we had this Black Power movement or whatever, because we were called Negroes before that. Like, white people had labeled us as Negroes or whatever, or niggers. We were niggers and Negroes. So in order to make us powerful, like, we came up with this term, like, okay, we're gonna be black. So we own that. But if you're from some other place, like, you have an identity. If you're Jamaican or Costa Rican or Mexican or Puerto Rican, like whatever, like, you have an identity. There's something that defines your ethnicity. But to say you're black, what is that?
But that's because society has made it white and black. You understand what I'm saying? It's like a white and black America.
But what is white? What's the connotation for something that's black and white?
White is
good.
Black is
evil.
Right. Black is evil. Black is bad.
Right.
So my question is your ethnicity. Which one are you?
What am I?
White or black? Yeah.
I'm neither one of those.
You neither one of those.
I've never, like, even when I filled out forms and they give you a choice of what you are, I've always put other, because there was nothing that could necessarily apply to me. Because if I say I'm black, then I'm denying who I am or where I come from. So I can't. So even though I say that and speak it, because that's how we communicate to each other, like, I'll take it a step further. Like, I have a 9-year-old daughter, and I've never taught her the concept of people being black and white. So when she refers to people, she calls them by name, and if she doesn't know their name, then she finds other ways to describe those people that she can't recall their names. She doesn't. It's not that she doesn't understand it, because my daughter is very smart, and she has this ability. Amazing ability to be able to filter out things and not communicate or articulate things in those terms.
So what would you call your ethnicity?
I am Irish, Cherokee, and
DeVoe.
And what?
Hold on.
Right.
Irish,
and what?
Irish. That's where the freckles come from.
Okay. What else?
Because my black brothers and sisters, or my ancestors that came before me, were bred with Irish slaves.
Okay, so Irish. Okay, that's
so
one.
Irish, Cherokee,
and
it's one more in the mix. African, of course.
Okay, African.
Yes.
Okay, you know what tribe?
No. Okay. Well, no. What you mean? What tribe? From Africa?
I'm messing.
From Africa?
DeVoe.
Yeah.
Would you get your black ass out of here? You're black.
No, I'm not. I'm not black. I'm not black. Because my grandmother, my grandmother was, she was well, you call it half-breed. That sounds racist, but she was half Cherokee. Her mom was full-blood Cherokee, and her father was an Irishman. So she wasn't black. So I can't say that. Well, if I say I'm black, then that's denying everything that I'm comprised of.
Right.
And I lived in Hawaii for 11 years, and Hawaii is about multiculturalism. So if you're talking about racism, then okay, if we go to Hawaii, then what we have is the reverse of what we have in the mainland. So white people live in Hawaii, and white people can actually experience what it's like to be subjugated and what it's like to be second class, because over there, they're haoles or fucking haoles, right? So it's like being called a nigger.
What do they call them? Fucking hollies?
Because white people are looked at it like they're beneath Native Hawaiians and everybody else that's endemic to the Hawaiian Islands.
Really?
Yes.
Wow. You know, let me say this. On Women to Women show, Miss J, you were saying something about the description of starting off with blacks. What is it? It was Negroes.
Negras.
So what I was saying was that when I grew up, being a person who was born in the late 50s, we were Negroes. Then we were colored. we were niggers all along.
Mhm.
You know, no matter what the other name they gave us. So we were Negroes, we were colored, then we were black, then we were hairstyle Americans
Mhm.
because we were Afro Americans. And then finally we became African Americans. And, you know, so we were talking about Rachel
Dolezal. Mhm.
And she was saying that she had totally experienced the whole black. She had had the whole black experience. And I'm like, how? How could she possibly have had the black experience? Because at any moment, if things get too hard for her, she can go back to being white.
Yeah.
Black people cannot go back to being something else.
But
And I understand what you're saying, but when people see us, what do they see?
well, when you
They identify us with being black.
but when you look at when you look at the differences between somebody who's so-called black and somebody who's so-called white, because we are of color, like we come in all tones,
Mhm.
Yes.
features, and everything. So it's like the way I could understand Rachel as being somebody who's culturally significant is that she put it out there. So she made it be like, okay, well, being black is basically about the culture. It's not about the color of your skin. It's not about the color of your skin because
But you
within my family, you have people who are light skinned, lighter than white people.
Right.
We have freckles, so we have
But they are
Caucasian
still
features.
right, but
And
they still are considered black
Right.
people.
Right.
You know, by her
And-
making that statement, and I saw even when you read what you wrote in there, the thing is that no matter if we're Negroes, niggers, black, Afro Americans, African Americans, we still are black. You know, that's what we've been put on us. That's who we are. For her to say that she can be black,
But she
but
can
she
be
can
black.
be white, but right, that's to me, that's a disrespect to our culture, because black is not a culture. I feel it's
Let me
not.
put it to you like this: there are black people who look white,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And those black people who look white have the option to be able to do something like that as well. They can flip flop between, oh, you know, one day I'm
But
black,
that
one day
is,
I'm
but
black.
doesn't make it's still not right. You understand
No,
what I'm
but
saying?
these are black people who pass for white people, who pass for white
But
people.
here's the difference. This woman is a lily white woman who decided, I'm going to change who I am. At this moment, I'm going to pretend to be a black woman. She's not half black. She's all white. And she went and bought a navy weave to portray the image of a black woman.
And
then these black people are black people who happen to look this way. And they're not saying, I'm going to pretend to be this way. They are
Who they are. They're scared of who they are.
So here's my question. Okay, so if we're talking about the differences between somebody putting on and acting as if they're black, we have to look deeper than that. And because the way people but what I'm saying is like the way people decide to separate things is like, okay, they're categorizing people into different races as if we're not all the same race.
We're American.
So when you look at it from that point of view, it's like, okay, she can be black. She can say that she's black. She can present as being somebody who's black, because to me, when I looked at her pictures, when she looked like that, she looked like a black person to me, because that's what I'm used to seeing, because that is what is present in my family.
Right, but to you it did, but for me it didn't. Even though I have high yellow half breed, and I'm gonna say it, I have those. I'm the darkest person in my whole entire family.
Right, but
you understand what I'm saying?
The difference is that if nobody knew that she was of white parents, because remember that she did this for years,
right?
And nobody knew that she was anything other than what she said she was.
But that's because she tanned her skin. She made her skin darker. She wore weave and hair that made her hair kinky. You understand
What's the difference between black people wearing straight hair? So what's the difference?
No, it's
if you're light skinned,
a big difference, because they're not out there pretending to be white. They're not out there saying that. No, my parents are my grandmother is half Indian and her father is black. The same as I'm black and Indian. That's what I am. I'm not gonna dare put
every
I'm
black person
white
is black and
on
Indian,
here,
so it's like-
on this and this. I'm not gonna do that. That's what she
What do you
did.
put?
She said she.
She
I put
Well, she might. Okay, so she might have some other going on, like
She
you
got
know,
some other
besides the
medication.
obvious.
There's other stuff she got going on. She need medication, and it's okay for a white woman to put on nappy
Guys,
hair.
that's Dolezal talking.
It's okay for a white woman to put on hair and say, oh, she just needs some help. But when a black woman put on blonde hair, then we get persecuted for wanting to wear our hair long and straight.
But I don't see why, because
we're
blonde.
not pretending to be
But
who they
right,
are.
it's a difference.
Okay, so
That's
you
a
saying-
difference. She
So-
actually, right?
She
She actually said
I'm trying-
that she was, and her forms and files and things of that is that she is black. She's an African, right? She's an African American. She's Indian.
Black is
and
a
she's
cultural black is, to me, like black is a cultural concept. It's where you come from. It's how you
But she didn't even come from black.
Yes, she did.
No,
She
that
did.
she didn't know. Her parents is, yeah, right.
Yeah, but her mom doesn't look all white.
What the hell
Her mom-
are you looking at?
I saw the pictures of them. I saw the
I
video.
saw the video of her mama, and her
I saw-
mama look white as hell, and her daddy do too.
And her pictures before she started assimilating.
She looked white.
Okay, but
She
let me
looked
tell you
like the
something.
white girl next
But
door
I'll
with
tell you
the
something.
red freckles on her face. Yes.
Okay, but I'm gonna tell you something though. Okay, you see how dark I am? With
Yes.
these red when
Yes.
I was born, my skin tone was white, lily white.
Well, let me tell you something.
No, I'm telling you. No.
We can't go there.
No, listen. I'm telling you the truth. I'm telling you the truth. When I came out of the womb, my skin was like this, like the palm of my hand. That's the color of my skin.
But do you know how many other babies has came out like that?
Yeah, but I'm
myself
saying-
came out like
But what
that.
I'm saying to you is that if the lady,
she
if the
didn't come out
lady,
dark with a tan.
if she wants to, what I'm saying is like, okay, I think she is an agent for change. Like this experience happened.
Oh,
No,
wait.
no,
Okay,
she
wait.
is.
Wait. So this is what I
She's-
want to ask.
she's
This
a
is what I want
bridge.
to ask.
She's a bridge to bridge the
A
gap
bridge of what?
between
No.
what is
No.
it's culturally
No,
significant here because she's a white woman
No.
wanting to be black.
No, so this is what you're gonna tell me next, that she's transracial.
No,
She's transracial.
I wouldn't say
like,
that.
I mean, like what? Like she can choose to be what she wants because she always felt
but
like
why is
she
it
was
okay?
black.
Why is it okay? Like, why is it okay for somebody to be black and pass as white and nobody thinks it's a
That's
big
wrong
deal?
too. We didn't say that. That's wrong too.
Yeah,
but
but
how many do you really? But how many do you see? And when they do get caught, believe me, they getting it. You understand what I'm saying? Especially back in the day.
yeah, but she would.
Especially back in the day when you had a lot of those Creoles. It was mostly the Creole people back down south.
I just was
That would do
powwowing
that.
with my Creole relatives.
But you-
Thank you.
Black and white.
Combination. That's what talking about.
Blazing. Blazing.
You know, let's do this. Mike, you got something to say because we just like
He's
totally
just like,
You know, I was just laughing
He's
at
trying to get
DeVoe.
it.
Because DeVoe say, if a black person who passed for white, don't nothing happen to him. Shit do happen to, especially if you go get a loan from the bank.
Right. Okay, so here's what's happening. Okay, I mean, truth be told, like all of us are black. I mean, that's where we originated from. So white people, this is what happened. Okay, you have Dravidian albinos, which is where Caucasians actually sprung from. So they were just like, okay, well, I'm gonna come out and I'm gonna be light skinned. I'm gonna have the red hair and the freckles and all that, and I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna create my own sect. So people were saying like, okay, well, you know, black people when they migrated to Asia and created the first dynasties, which were black people, the Mongols were black people. It's like they started eating rice, and then that started to make their skin lighter. But that's not what happened, right?
You know something there? I got 2 comments. I got 2 comments from you. I got 2 comments off the chat line.
Please.
Lane 1962 said, "What are you smoking, Alexander? Pass it around." and Mr. Scorpio said, maybe she should use ancestry.com to find out who the hell she was.
Right.
And can
So-
I just add, and so what you're saying is, and the spaceships came down. And
No, that's not what I'm saying.
And then depending upon what region they fucked them, that's where these different people came from.
No.
Did you just say fuckness? pissed Miss J?
She
Oh,
did.
so you
Oh,
all
she
pissed Miss
did.
J off because she usually don't use words like that.
But I'm just saying. I'm just saying. So you know, keeping it consistent with how she wants to present, I can understand that, because what I did was I analyzed. I was being purely analytical, and I just understood her concept, right?
Because you're not black.
Right.
No, I'm not.
I mean, I just want because you did. You say I'm not. And matter of fact, last week you said you wasn't black either. So I'm starting to believe that you truly believe that you're not black.
No, I'm not, because when you.
So you and Raven is in the same.
But no, but what my experience has been like. What my experience has been is just like, okay. I've been exposed to a lot of different cultures, and when I lived in Hawaii, I embraced multiculturalism. Over there, it's like if you ask them, like here, it's like, okay, what are you, black or white? That's it.
Right, exactly.
Like if you're in Hawaii, you ask somebody, what are you? When you say what are you, you're gonna say, Japanese, blah 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 blah. They're gonna tell you everything that they're comprised of. It's not I'm black or I'm white. It's not gonna be that. So where the history is coming from, because that is a way to look at it, where you're being inclusive. You're including everybody in it. The concepts of black and white is just steeped in
American culture.
Yeah,
you're right,
and
about
it's all about divisiveness, and it's all about, okay, black people are inferior, subhuman, white people are inferior, therefore good. And that's why if we don't start getting rid of some of these labels, like when somebody says African American, I just cringe, because that's not what I am.
Right.
Every black person in this country doesn't come from Africa. Well, we do. We originated from Africa, but it's just like we want to be.
But we don't know that. I mean, can I be honest? We don't know that. The only thing is that I know is that my grandparents are Indian. I know that for sure, and I know that they are black colored people. Now, because people say that I have an island look, like I look like I'm from Jamaica or Belize or something like that. So my family might not even be from Africa. Right now, I am actually trying to find where my ancestors are truly from on both sides of my mom and my dad. You understand what I'm saying?
Well, okay. This thing about like black people being Cherokee or Arapaho,
right, and then when
or
people
whatever.
say that, people go, really.
But see, here's what happens though. We are comprised of 71% in our genotypes. We're 71% of European descent. So people, when they talk about, when you ask black people, everybody says they're Cherokee, but they don't.
I'm Blackfoot.
I'm half Ethiopian. So
I'm glad to see that.
I can see that that you are. She's African. She's being consistent with her African roots.
So I'm a nigga from Chicago. So that's my answer.
Some of us are, like.
Wait,
but you African, but I'm saying like you have
your features,
African features.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
you do have you can tell that you have African features, your cheekbones, your your
like
full lips.
Yeah.
Right.
The problem is Black Americans are displaced because over here we don't know our culture, and so Africans want to consider us ignorant because we don't know what our true culture is. So we're displaced. We don't know where we belong.
And
so we are
absolutely
American.
right. Right.
Yes.
So
yes.
Right.
You're absolutely right.
I've been to Africa, and me being an American, a Black American in Africa, got the worst treatment ever.
They do when they come over here. They do the exact same thing.
Yeah, there's a difference.
Yeah.
I'm treated wonderfully until I speak.
Right.
Something, I mean, I agree with all that, because the thing is, we are American and we are in American society, and being that way, as you say, DeVoe, is we don't break races down. Even the white race is not broken down, because whites could be Italians, European, Jews. We categorize black people. You white. They don't sit around saying, most of us don't sit around saying, oh, are you Jewish? Are you Italian? Are you
European?
They don't. They don't.
Irish? No, we
but I do.
Black people going to consider if you white, you're white. They're not going to break down that. And just like with black people, if you got a dark skin tone, they're not going to ask if you're from Jamaica. They're not going to ask if you're from the island. They're going to say you are black.
Yeah.
But see, you know what? That's just
that's the American society that we live in. Because when you think about it, Jews were slaves before blacks were slaves. Jews were tortured before black. But over in America, Jews, they
run
with the white people. They group themselves with white people.
Right.
And you know, and we got a Jewish is more of a religion, but Jewish is also a race as well.
But see, you're talking about the notion of race. I mean, race is a social political construct. It's not like, you know, we are different races. We're not different. We're not of different races, right? That's not what we are. We're Homo sapien sapien. So if you're talking about the concept of race, look at you. If you're talking about the concept of race, that's an American, a purely American construct. It's just like how Mexicans used to be classified as white people during the 20s, right? So for political reasons, they were, oh, now they're Mexican. And then in the 30s and 40s, okay, now they're white people again. So it's like, you know, the concept of what is considered to be race can be changed and manipulated based on whatever the political climate can be at that particular point in time.
But climate is never going to change. The political can change all it won't. Even with Barack in office, we still gonna be black.
Yeah.
Right. But the thing is that the reason why he was able to become president is because he wasn't necessarily considered to be 100% black. Now he's African.
Yeah, I do. I believe. I honestly do believe that statement is because he is biracial. Is one of the parts that why he was able to get into office. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah, because it was more that he was raised by his white mother, not by his African father. He was raised by his white mother, and for that much, he had more of a white upbringing.
Right.
What's a white?
Well, when she lived in Hawaii, but she looked white. Well, what is? I got my producer over here like. Well, what was her ethnicity?
Who, the mom?
The mom.
She
She was Hawaiian.
Yeah, she was a white
was
girl.
Hawaiian?
I thought she was a white girl.
But she wasn't. Okay, so like he said before, in Hawaii, you're not just one thing. So she took on a culture, and she was not racial, but she was Rachel.
Right, but the thing is what I'm saying is what American think is that he was raised by a white woman. You understand what I'm saying? Being raised by a white woman and not by a black woman or a black family, that gave him he's half white. You understand what I'm saying?
No,
He's
but I don't subscribe to it.
Oh, that's fine. Don't.
Well, you saying that you see Barack Obama as just being a black man.
I do, because
But he's not a black man. He is, you know, he's part of something else.
And I understand. I do understand, but I'm just saying that it's one drop of black. What is that? If you have one drop of black,
1%. But even that changed. That changed too. The percentages, it wasn't just okay, well, you one part and then you black, but that changed based on the climate of the politics too. The percentage that would make you
here
black.
in America?
Yes.
Yes. Here in America?
Can we have that information?
Can we have that information?
I mean, I just if you want me to look it up, there was actually three different ingredients that made you black. It wasn't just like one drop. It was another.
Wait, okay, wait, let's do this. We're gonna take a break. We're gonna come back and we're gonna have the man that knows Mr. Alexander DeVoe. I can't even say his name right now. He'll piss me off so much. Over here.
The man who knows it all. We'll come back. Alexander DeVoe, the man who knows it all.
Really?
On the chocolate radio with the live show.
Really? All right, that was our girl Sheree Laree with Mirage here on Chocolate Radio, the live show. Here on ChocolateRadioLiveShow.com. Wait, don't say a word just yet. Don't say a word just yet. I want to shout out to my Mixler.com folks here on Chocolate Radio, as well as my ChocolateRadio.net folks, my Chocolate Radio, the live show.com. Guys, give us a call. We are opening up the lines, 1-800-938-2462. That's 1-800-WED-CHOCOLATE. But before I want to make sure you guys know that this man over here to my...
I'm to your left.
I just want to make sure that you were saying, Mr. Alexander DeVoe, the man that knows all, that was talking this nonsense before the break.
Okay, but see, I think the room, may have misunderstood what I was saying.
No.
So what I was saying what I was actually saying was that didn't register into everybody's brain.
Oh, because we're black women. Is that why?
Well, no, it's not because you're black.
I just want to make sure this is a bounce off of last week's show. I just want to make sure of that.
So what I was saying was, okay, you have an individual who's trying to present as being white, right?
Exactly.
So if how they used to say it was, okay, using your example, if you have like one drop of black blood in you, then you were a black person.
Yes.
But they use two other criteria to justify them saying, okay, you're not white, you are black. That's what I was saying.
Where?
Well, you didn't give me a chance to look it up. So I decided
let me say this. Well, let me say this. Because this brother is backpedaling like it ain't nothing right now. I swear to God, if he was swimming, he would win the back race. Like, seriously.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, he's backstroking like it ain't nothing.
Okay.
All right, so let's do this. Because we touched base on a little bit when we talked about Rachel Dolezal,
right.
And I said about the transracial. Do you think that might be something that will be happening in the near future?
Oh yeah.
You got binoculars going on now.
Well, you know what I think it's already been happening because you've always had white people who have embraced black culture.
What we call wiggers.
Well, whatever they're called.
It is. Can we be honest?
But
because that is what the slang word that it was.
It's been that way forever. I mean, if you want to take it way back, to the 50s when Elvis was stealing our shit, like everybody's been doing that. They've been presenting themselves that way, but the difference is that she took it a step further, right? She wanted to present and say that, okay, I am black. They were doing it without saying that they were black. So I think it's different, and I think she is, whether you agree with me or not, I think she's culturally significant and she's culturally important because it creates a dialogue. We're talking about it. So I think it's important.
All right. So we got a hand in the audience. Can you put that over there? Yeah. Yes, I do. Curtis, how you doing, baby?
I'm doing great. I'm happy to be here.
All right, thank you, baby.
Well, piggybacking on what you're saying, just to do a comparison, Rachel Dolezal is coming under fire, getting his backlash for identifying as a black person, black woman. What's the difference between that and Bruce Jenner identifying as a woman?
Actually, that was going to be a question that I was going to ask as well. Is it a disrespect? I mean, because he said that he always felt like he was a woman, and I'm just being devil advocate of just saying this. Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying for her to say, and actually, I'm asking you because you said that her feeling like she's black or she was in the black cultural. Right. That means that she's transracial. You understand what I'm saying? Because she's always felt like she was black, like Bruce Jenner always felt like he was a woman, but could never have to, he couldn't live that way. And she couldn't live that way when she was younger, so she waited till she got older and pretended. You know what I'm saying?
But I think
this is who I am, this is what I'm going to do.
But he lived a lie too.
No, because he stayed a man, he was a man, and he wore a bra every now and then. But under his suit,
right? But she didn't become she didn't start becoming black until she was an adult. He didn't do what?
He didn't check female. She checking black.
And I think that Bruce always told
his wife,
the wives,
because Chris knew
this is how I feel. This is how I feel inside. This is how I identify. So
how you know what? I don't know. Did y'all watch the interview? Because he was lying. He was doing a lot of lying. She said she didn't know to the extent. She thought he was more of a cross-dressing type of thing. But
because that's what you would want to think. I'm sure that he possibly told her everything, and she selectively heard, oh, you like dressing as a woman.
Right. Okay.
You still
And
like
I can,
screwing me,
because we are not, you know, we are here together and we're making these children.
Mhm.
So obviously you're not saying that you want to be a woman, because otherwise, how could you be with me?
Okay.
he's not. He
When
likes women.
Right. Well, let's do that. No, we don't know that.
He said that. He
But
said that. He said that.
I don't believe him. I'm just saying, well, I don't believe him. We're not gonna go on Bruce right now. We're just gonna go. We're gonna go back to what we were talking about. So listen, we're gonna open up the lines, and then we're gonna talk about. That's one of the questions that we're gonna ask about transracial.
Right.
Like, is that the same as being transgender? Can you put those two in the same circumstances, in the same definition? All right, guys, give us a call at 1-800-938-2462.
Yeah.
That's 1-800-938-2462. All right, guys. All right, so this is what we're going to talk about now. We're going to go from that. We're going to take some calls coming in later. I don't know if you saw Chuck Todd from NBC. Is the big, all right.
Chuck Todd.
Yes,
that
Chuck.
sounds like a toy.
From NBC News. Chuck Todd has actually did an expose on gun control this past weekend. And it was right after the shooting that happened in South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the problem is that, and let me set this up first before I say this, because he did get a lot of backlash. But before he even put the video out there, he said that this has nothing to do with race, that it was colored by, it's more have to do with the gun violence. But every man that was in this video was a black man.
Right.
And to say the video was great. It was really, really great, but it had all black people in it.
Right.
Now, I know we spoke about this a little bit before, and you know what? Let's take a quick break and then we'll come back. All right, let's take a quick break and we'll come back. We just got a quick emergency here.
Okay.
Y'all smell it?
Right?
I was like, what the hell is burning? Popcorn.
Smell like popcorn.
Somebody's burning popcorn.
Yeah. And the microwave back here.
Yeah, could you?
What is this you were talking about? You brought something else?
Right here. Did I sent you this dinner? Yeah. Yeah, because you responded back to it.
That's a burnt popcorn smell.
So you're talking about
Chuck
you're
Todd.
talking about the church shooting, right?
No, we're talking about.
Yeah, I'm doing it so that they can create a sizzle for
We're talking about the media being biased now.
for like different trailers and stuff.
What is his name? Chuck.
Chuck Todd.
He hosts Meet the Press.
Popcorn, right?
That's what it smells like.
Oh, he apologized for airing the racist gun video on Meet the Press.
Yeah.
Okay.
You want to read it first?
Yeah, let me read it real quick.
Oh, you didn't do your research?
I sent it. I sent it last night, didn't
No,
I?
I did not.
Because I didn't.
I'm sorry.
But he know it. It's okay.
That's true. He's a man of the
Yeah.
He knows everything.
It's going to
Except those 3 ingredients.
magically appear into my brain right now. I'm trying to clown me.
All right, guys, it's your girl Nyomi Banxxx here on Chocolate Radio, the live show. We are back. I apologize about that, but we had a little burnt going on, and it was actually someone in the building was burning some popcorn. Cajun style, isn't that right?
It smelled good too.
Did it?
Yeah, it did. Now I want
Oh,
some.
that's the Irish part of you, huh?
It's the Irish.
Sorry, guys, I had to go there.
Oh, so why you gotta talk about freckles? Like, yeah.
I had to go there. All right, so before we did break, I was talking about Mr. Chuck Todd,
Right.
the news.
Who put up the racist gun violence that only had black people in it.
Well, actually, the thing is that you have to look at it in two different ways, and I'm gonna be honest with you, because he was really talking about gun control.
Right.
I think that he probably should have not put the video up. Why? Is because as media, we actually put things out and people see it, knowing that even though he's talking about guns, it was all black people in there, and knowing how society is about black people, that's all that they saw. Even though he said, "Look at this colorblind." How can you look at something colorblind when you have a video full of black men in prison, mind you, in prison, talking about them having guns? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Even and actually, let me say this too. To be fair, that it was actually shot. The video was actually shot before the shootings, before the church shootings.
Right.
So now that so this is it. Me and Mike might have this conversation before, and this is where the question goes into ask: is Black America, are they too sensitive?
Yes.
Too sensitive to portrayals in the media?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, I think we have a right to be sensitive about how we're portrayed in the media.
Okay.
And I mean, a prime example is what just happened.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this white guy goes in and kills 9 people,
Mm-hmm.
and he's basically treated like, you know, he's a celebrity,
Mm-hmm.
which is what he's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
If it was a Black person that killed 9 people, they probably would have killed him when they saw him on sight.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he's being treated totally different.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think the impact of what's happening is as great as it would be if it was
a
somebody,
Black person.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's almost like you see it and you don't really care because it's a white person who did it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. There was something else that I saw that he was actually he was coming out with what do you call those? A bulletproof vest.
Right.
And at that time, one of my best friends is a police officer. And I had asked him, I said, you know, why is it that if it was him and the lady, the lady that helped the 2 murderers escape from prison,
Right.
she also was walking with a bulletproof vest.
Right.
So the thing is that I hadn't seen any of the Black people walk around with the bulletproof vest.
Right.
Right. And so what he was saying is that because they were high profile crimes, that's the reason why, because someone can be out there to shoot
Trying to
them.
kill 'em, yeah.
So my thing is that are the white criminals more important than the Black criminals?
I mean, I don't think they're more important. I just think that, you know, people are okay with it being a white person that does it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because even no, I'm just saying from my own point of view, it's just like, okay, you know, a white person did it, and from my mentality is like, okay, that's expected that somebody white would do something like that, and maybe it's like a point of view or a stereotypical way of looking at it, like, okay,
saying.
White people are mass murderers,
Mm-hmm.
right? That might be what you want to call a racist point of view, but
Mm-hmm.
it's just like that seems like that those are the type of people who would commit a crime like that. So
Mm-hmm.
it's expected behavior, and of course they're going to be treated totally different.
But it's not
The judge,
expected.
like when the judge said that about feeling sympathy for
His family.
the shooter's family,
Mhm.
it's just like, I can't believe this person was saying this, right? I couldn't believe he was doing that.
You know, but I want to touch back on that one too. But we got some the folks in our audience that has. I want to touch back on that. We're gonna
Okay.
come back to that
Right.
too, because I have a thing. Well, go ahead,
One
Dolezal.
thing I think about is because we did have the DC sniper who wore a white bulletproof vest, he
Mhm.
was the Black guy,
Mm-hmm.
and then we have these 2 people who were wearing bulletproof vests as well. But one thing, yes, we are sensitive. However, and then we worry about how we're being treated. I think that the reason that the DC sniper was treated so well was because of how high profile it was. The more visible it is, the better they're going to treat them, because they know the cameras are on them at the time.
Mhm.
All of the incidents where we see Black people who are mistreated or hurt, injured
Mm-hmm.
through police brutality, it's because it wasn't high profile. They weren't expecting cameras to be on them at
Mhm.
any time. So this is, I think that's the difference. Are we sensitive? Yeah, but we have a right to be, because if the cameras aren't rolling, we're being treated like animals.
Right. Did you want to say something?
Well, yeah, I was going to piggyback off that. You know, with the DC sniper at that time frame, social media wasn't peaking the way it is. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you got YouTube, Facebook. You can
Right.
you can pull out your camera at any given time.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't the case with DC sniper, but it was still a high profile case, so they treated it a little bit more delicately.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say, for instance, like the incident that happened a couple weeks ago down in Texas with the
Mhm.
kids at the pool.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Little girl got roughed up, manhandled
Mm-hmm.
Right.
beyond reason,
Mm-hmm.
when that shouldn't have been the case. But then just a couple weeks before that, you had a shootout in Waco, and the cops are chilling,
Mm-hmm.
and
Watching
the
it.
bikers, sit around. And, the intensity of the situation, I think, has something to do with fear as much as the exposure as well. Fear has a lot to do with it.
You know,
I think they're just gonna.
Okay, wait, hold on a second. Okay.
just get one of our props to one of our one of viewers today, Mr. Scorpio from Texas, and he posed a question out there. He said that in Texas, and we was just talking about Waco a second ago, they got a conceal and carry law, and he asked, "Do you think that law should be implemented everywhere? You think that would help with these unnecessary shootings?"
I think so.
I think so a little bit. I think it would. So.
I don't think so.
I do think so, because I used to, half of my family lives in Texas, and I used to do summer vacations in Texas. And when I was 12, I had a shotgun. You could walk into a gun store at 10 years old and buy bullets and shells for your shotgun.
And shotguns are for hunting, rifles are for hunting.
Right.
I'm talking about 45 automatics. I'm talking about 357. I think what that law does is it put more guns on the street. And once you got more guns on the street, the violence goes up. Because let me tell you something. You have a woman, a single mother who has a gun protecting herself. That's great. When her purse gets stolen, now that gun is an illegal gun on the street, and you don't know who. She can go report that it's stolen, and they can say, okay, we know you don't have it, but now there's a legal gun on the street. If your gun is in your car and your car gets stolen, now there's another illegal gun on the street. If someone breaks in your house and you got 3 guns and they steal your guns, now they're illegal guns. So what that does is that put more guns on the street, and those guns can be put in hands of people who's going to use them to shoot.
So I guess my next question is, well, how are people supposed to protect themselves then?
But you know what?
And the sad thing about it is, sorry, that's what's supposed to be the police jobs, but they're not protecting us anymore.
But if they don't do that, but I see it in a different way. It's like, okay, if I know that somebody else has a gun, then I think that's an equalizer.
Yeah, you absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Like if I know
that, I agree with that. If you got a gun, and that's an equalizer. But if someone steals your gun and you don't have your gun, now your gun is not an equalizer. You go get another one to protect yourself. But the first gun you had is in the street now.
Criminals are going to find a way to get
done.
Yes, they are.
They'll find a way to get.
And that's a great statement. Criminals are going to find a way to get guns. So if everybody got them, there are more guns for criminals to get.
I understand that, but the mindset behind that is you'll be less likely to run up on somebody if you think
that they packing.
No. That's the scary mentality. You look at things that happen in Chicago. They're not scared to run up on somebody. They going in with a tent for a shootout.
Yeah, they show that.
They're not scared.
That's an environmental thing, though.
Right.
Because
right, but you know what? Going back to what I was talking about with the Chuck Todd videotape, it actually was a young guy on there, and he was 17 years old when he got a gun. He said he didn't really want a gun. He got a gun because his boy said, "Man, you probably need a gun walking around here." He said he really didn't need a gun, but he got it just because his boy said get it. He said, but once he got the gun, he felt like he was, he had power with it. So this is how crazy that it was. They all went to the
where does that come from?
To the mall. Wait, I'm just saying, hold on. Yeah. They all went to the mall. They went to see a movie or something like this. Another group of kids came in to the movies or whatever. Something broke out. One of the guys shot up in the air. He shot up in the air too, just to show you can shoot up in the air. I got a gun too. I can shoot up in the air. And end up a little boy getting killed. Now this man is now in jail for life because of him wanting to be cool to have a gun. You understand what I'm saying? Because that gun gives you power. The gun makes people feel like they're unstoppable, and it gives them power. And they do use it out of fear. Because that be the most dangerous thing is having a gun and being fearful.
Some things you're not going to change, though, because that's just the way our American society is. Like, we're just a violent society. It was built on violence.
And you're right. It's a violent society. Now, if you have guns, it's more of a violent society because you take it out because at the good old days, and I think we all here of age to know when there used to be good old fashioned fist fights, but I live to fight another day. Right. If everybody got a gun, it ain't no more fist fights. The fight's you say what? Bam, we shoot it.
Yeah.
And that's what
there's more punks out there these days.
So
serious.
So honestly speaking, like when the media portrays situation like that, in his case, well, there's all black men, and it's like, okay, well, the problem with gun violence is specifically you know, cater to, or black people are the ones who perpetrates that. Is that something that's truthful, or is it just like they're just embellishing something and putting it out, and it's not really the way things are?
That's the thing, is that it wasn't equally, everybody wasn't equally represented in that. You understand what I'm saying? Because there are a lot of crime that does with guns, period, that happen innocently. You understand what I'm saying? So it's not always a criminal act. The thing is that he was trying to sell the fact of having gun control.
Right.
That's the whole thing. But when he visually showed black men in prison with guns.
Yeah, but gun control
No. Black men
because it's not
in prison that use guns. But I think everybody else knew
the only way you could do that is if you stop producing guns and then you made it illegal in this country to own a gun.
Now you're taking away the rights of America.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what do you mean? What do you mean rights of America? Like if you make it illegal to have a gun, that's the only way you're going to be able to control guns.
And you know something, it was funny that, you know, everybody in the audience at the same time.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mike.
Everybody said at the same time, you take away our rights to bear arms. Well, you know something, really,
I don't have a gun.
That's kind of funny, the right to bear arms, because when you really think about getting a gun, there's a whole lot of things you have to go through to get a gun. So I think that right is taken away when people go to try to get a gun anyway. But if you think about what you have to do to even get that gun
legally to get a gun, if you wanted to go get a gun, you could get a gun.
Right.
Because I'm gonna tell you a story. Like tell you a story. Like, you know, most people, you know, see me how I present, but they don't know that, you know, back in the day, I used to carry like a little 25 in my front pocket, just like I carry my wallet. You know, when I was running around the hood, you know, everywhere I went, you know what I'm saying? Like I used to have 8 little 25, like, you know, it's like a little baby equalizer. So yeah, I did, because I knew that back then it's like, you know, you could roll around the neighborhood without having something that was making you feel like, okay, I never used it, but
it made you feel like you were
something that you had to do. Like you had to do that. And that's the reality of the way things are now. So if you're talking about gun control, like gun control doesn't apply in the neighborhood.
Oh no, it doesn't.
It doesn't.
It doesn't.
Now, what was you gonna say, Ms. J?
Well, actually, I was going to touch on something that you said earlier about the judge stating that
Sorry for his family.
he felt sorry for his family as well. As a person who has been on the other side of crime, where a family member committed a crime, yes, the family, you know, yes, hatred is taught somewhere, but there are other family members who may not subscribe to that hate, and they will be tarnished with that. What he's done, his actions will tarnish them going forward as well.
But as a judge, like he's not supposed to, you know, make it seem like it's about the perpetrator's family.
You know, when I was watching that, what I felt is that, you know, because we as adults, and we were raised a certain way. Once we get out on our own, we make our own choices. You understand what I'm saying? And then we have friends or associates or whatever that can, you know, kind of, you know, kind of put something on us or tell us, or, you know, what we have to do, you know, do certain things, but we will do certain things because it might be cool to them, or, you know, it's something like that. So do his family, because it probably didn't come from his family. So do his family, because of something he done, they are now going to be your pariahs. You understand what I'm saying? Because they are affiliated with Dylan Roof.
But you know what's funny about that is just like, okay, the media jumped on and they start portraying him as this racist person. But when they did the interview on his roommate, like, this guy was saying that he wasn't like that. He wasn't a racist. So where all of this stuff is coming from, like, who knows?
But
maybe it makes a good story.
You know, internet.
Maybe it makes a good story.
Right, you know, internet. You know,
and with the guns, and
you know, it was something.
What have you?
He said it himself.
Right, you know, it was something that Mike had said earlier today.
Said he was going to start a race riot and he wanted to kill.
But they don't know. They don't know if he actually wrote it. It's something that just appeared, but they don't know if he did it.
Said this in an interview with the police.
Right, but wait a minute. But it was something that Mike had said earlier today. Do you remember what you said earlier today? Dealing with Dylan.
What about the sensitivity of the case, or which one?
Right, yeah, about the case, about him, his family, about people, you know, about the judge saying, okay, we need to have, you know, some kind of sympathy for the family as well.
Right. No, I don't remember that.
You don't remember that? Now you don't make me just stop everybody from talking to accent. Remember that?
Because, you know, I thought you was going to go to the point of, I know one of the points we talked about early was Black people being too sensitive about the whole gun issue.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I really think that Black people are more sensitive about that gun issue, because when they brought up the gun situation that you said Todd did the story on, is I think so, because in this case, and this might lead into what I was talking about with Dylan, that's a racial case, and it's a case of gun violence, because his father gave him a gun at a young age. And with this gun, he gave him the expectation of, you can use this gun to defend yourself or to do what you believe in doing with the gun. You know, so really, as far as it putting his family out there, his father was a contributor to what he did by giving his son a gun. You know, and I know we have the right to bear arms, but even in that right is, if you get someone the right to bear arm, then in a sense, they got a right to do what they gonna do with those arms.
They have to abide by the law.
Yeah,
true enough. They have to abide by the law, but since that been put in the books, laws have been broken, and that's one thing we know about this society. Laws will always be broken. So if you know laws gonna be broken with guns, why not curb the amount of guns on the street?
Okay, well,
but
why not just make it illegal for people to own guns?
okay.
I'm with that.
Well,
You know, like nobody, like you really, like if you think about it, like what do you need a gun for? Like what do you need a gun for?
protection.
But if you make them illegal and you start collecting and removing guns, like what would somebody need a gun for?
Right.
Like what do you need a gun for?
You know,
like, seriously.
And that's another thing.
I don't own it. Like I don't own a gun. Like I don't have a gun. I don't want to be around a gun because things happen. Like things happen when you introduce yourself into that environment.
And you know something? I think, and I don't mean to cut you off, name, but I know Kurt, he said protection. That's what you need a gun for. But I really would like to see a survey of people who have guns for protection, that have, how many people have used those guns to protect themselves, and how many of those people don't even have those guns for protection anymore.
Okay, I have a story. This is a personal story because, you know, like sometimes things like this come out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, going back to the story when we used to go to Texas. Okay, there was an incident that happened. I was 12 years old again, and I had a shotgun.
Mm-hmm.
I had a 410 or whatever you call it, and something was happening in the backyard where my cousin was being, you know, sexually assaulted by 5 or 6 dudes, you know, in various ages. So I go to the back door and I was like, you know, stop, like leave her alone, like, you know, this is not good. So they just turned to me and just started laughing and went back to what they were doing. So I said, okay, I'm 12, I got a shotgun. I'm gonna go to my closet, pull out my shotgun, and come back and point it and say stop. They didn't do it. So what did I do? I pulled the trigger. When I pulled the trigger, the gun misfired. It didn't go off.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, okay, it didn't go off. So I'm gonna pull it again, and it didn't go off. So when it didn't go off the second time, they turned around, they came over, and they helped me dislodge the shell from the shotgun. And then I put it up, and they left. But I'm thinking like, okay, just the fact that you have a gun that's available, something's happening. Now, what would have happened if when the first time I pulled that trigger, it went off? I would probably end up killing all of them at 12 years old, just because there's a gun in the house.
Yeah, yeah.
But you got the gun to help.
No, the gun was used because we used to go out and hunt at 10, 11,
Right.
12.
But I think
Like
what
little
Coach was
kids that
saying-
run around with guns.
But my
Right.
thing is they helped you dislodge the
Right.
shells, and then say, okay, we're gonna leave her alone because you're too stupid to figure it out.
No, that's not what happened. They just thought it was a joke. Like they were just like, oh, okay, whatever. Like, you know, you point the gun, it didn't go off. Like, okay, we've done what we've accomplished that,
Right.
and we're leaving.
Right.
Was to protect her, right? It was to scare them or protect them. Am I correct?
Yeah, but I was gonna kill them, is what I'm saying. I'm a 12-year-old boy with a gun, and because there's a gun there, like I'm saying, like, okay, I'm asking them to stop. They're not stopping, so I'm going to shoot them to stop them.
But I guess with what I'm saying, I'm not gonna say what Curtis said. What I'm saying is that maybe that was in your right because they were sexually assaulting your cousin. If it's 5 guys on one girl and sexually assaulting, then I think that it's in your right to try to protect her.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
When it comes to using a gun, you have to think of these three things. You have to think of ability, you have to think of opportunity, and you have to think of intent. If all three of those boxes are checked, you have every right to use that gun. Those people who were assaulting your cousin, did they have the ability to do more harm, damage, or kill her?
Yes.
Did they have the opportunity to?
Yes.
Did they have the intention of harming her?
Yes.
Okay.
You have every right to protect your cousin. As a 12-year-old. It doesn't matter your age, and that was the first thought to get to her. You should have followed on through, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Right. So
but I'm saying, like, that sounds good, but that's not what happens in the neighborhood. Okay, I'm wearing a different color. Somebody walks up on me and shoots me in the head.
That's ignorance.
Right. Yeah.
But it's ignorance. But that is the reality of what happens because you have a culture of violence.
Can I ask one more question? Then I'll shut up and continue to be a spectator. If that's the case, then just like we have speed limit signs that keep people from speeding, but people still speed.
Of course they do.
Do we take away the cars? It's in the same ballpark.
That's not the same thing.
But the thing is too is this as well, is that even taken away, because we don't know how many guns are out there. First of all, we don't know how many, so we don't have a count of how many guns. So if you think that we got all the guns and everybody is there who gave all their guns away, but then it's still some ignorant asses that still got guns.
Of course.
You understand what I'm saying?
And
so how do the people without the guns protect themselves from the ignorant folks that got guns? Because they sitting there like, oh, them fools gave their guns away. So now we can go do what we need to do, what we want to do, how we want to do it, to whoever we want to do it to.
You know something, I totally agree, that is true. Okay, so, but even on the flip side, so you give everybody a gun. Every single person that has a gun who's, say, 21 and older, then you're at a club and a guy looks at your girlfriend. So instead of a fight, not only is somebody gonna get shot, but a lot of people who didn't have anything to do with it gonna get shot. Because that's the thing, a gun is the extension of your hand. So now, and we know the mentality of a lot of people out here. So now I don't have to fight, I will shoot. So if everybody hit it, and the same thing, if you're a woman walking down the street, you by yourself, and a guy comes make a baby will hit you on the butt. Now I can shoot this fool.
But see, and
it will happen.
But stuff like that, we're talking about a couple different things. We're talking about environment. We're talking about cultural differences, and we're talking about socialization, and then we're talking about the nature of our society in general. Yes. Like everything is violent, and it's gratuitous violence, and it's not connected to consequence. Right? You have people making movies, and there are people getting blown apart, and they're running lines and cracking jokes or whatever. Like and actually it's easy to shoot someone because you're not really connected to that. Like people think it's like, like in the movies where you're gonna shoot somebody and there's a grand explosion, like people gonna roll lines before they die, like all that kind of stuff. It's not like that. It's a difference between, me shooting someone and then stabbing him or choking them with my bare hands and killing them. It's easy to kill somebody because everybody talks about it. You even have preachers talking about killing somebody as a consequence of stuff. Right. You got the president talking about killing people, and you got police officers shooting people without guns, without weapons.
Right, but actually you can't generalize that by saying that, because everyone is different. You understand what I'm saying?
Everybody's different, but I lived in the environment. I lived in the environment. I have my door open and bullets are flying into my door, or I'm coming out of a McDonald's. Somebody puts a cup on my car and they're waiting for me to react to it so they can shoot me. You see what I'm saying? There's no logic in something like that, because that's just how people are born. They're bred into a system where it creates this environment where everybody doesn't have a consequence of their actions. I'm going to shoot you if you look at me the wrong way.
Exactly. Actually, one of our viewers, Lang 1962, again, he just put us a link up to YouTube, but in the description he said, if you want to see what gives black people with guns a bad name, check out this video. And he puts up the video. A guy in Philly shoots up a strip club with an AK-47 because the DJ wouldn't play his song.
I saw that.
And that's the ignorance of people, but it's also the ignorance because people can get a hold to a gun or to weapons. He's not mad enough to come tell the DJ to play a song or to do anything like that. His mentality, because I have this gun, I have this power to shoot.
Yeah.
You know, and it is. If everybody was in the mindset of these guns are for protection, I got a gun, you got a gun, and that's how we see it in the Old West. In the Old West, you know, you have your gun on your hip, he have his on the hip, so it wasn't no beef. But now it's a beef.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. On that note, let's take a break, and then we're gonna come back. My callers out there, guys, give us a call. I know the phone's been ringing, and you guys be like, "What the hell?" We're taking calls in the next hour. Give us a call at 1-800-938-2462. That's 1-800-WED-CHOCOLATE. Let's go ahead to a break.
Okay. Do you want me to open up this religious conversation?
All right, all right, all right. During that break, we listen to Kirby, I'm Just Saying, and Late Night Batch of Bass here on Chocolate Radio, the live show. Here on ChocolateRadioLiveShow.com. I guess that first hour was like hot.
It was heated.
It was heated.
We got it in, didn't we?
Yeah, we got it in. You most definitely got it in. You had our studio guest right ready to hump on your head.
I felt that energy like coming through my back, and like
You
radiating.
be glad there's nobody back there have a gun.
Right, exactly.
Wow.
All right, guys, that's my main man, Mr. Alexander DeVoe, right here to my left, the
What's
man
up?
that knows all.
I do. But there was something you stumped me on. Like you asked me a question, I didn't have the information readily available. I was supposed to look it up, but I didn't.
See, that's why you're supposed to have your notes. That's why
I got my my iPhone.
right.
6
That's why
Plus.
I do give you notes. That's why there is notes. There is
Right.
notes. And then we got our man that no one ever sees is our boy Dog Pound. Mike, what's going on, baby?
What's happening? What's happening?
All right, so we're gonna take some calls this next hour, right?
Yes, we
We're
are.
gonna take some calls next hour, but let's
Right.
kind of flip it a little bit. We're gonna change just a little bit, but we're still gonna be talking about the same thing.
Right.
But we're dealing more with on the religious side. So we know last week,
Yes.
that Dylan Roof came into a church
Right.
prayer service every Wednesday night. My grandmother used to have prayer service at church and at her home.
Oh, she did?
Yeah, she used to have it every Wednesday night. And they actually welcomed this young man in, and he sat there for an hour
Yeah, he
and
did.
prayed along with them, you
Mhm.
know, whatever he was doing. But then he had the nerve to stand up and shoot and
Right.
kill 9 people out of the church.
Right.
The question that you posed, and actually, when I first heard about it, I didn't hear about it until Friday, till when I got back to the States, is when you in a religious, you in church and you're there praying
Right.
to your God,
Right.
you're praying to God, and someone comes in and kills you, your belief in God, does it hinder that? Does it, put a pause on it, or does it make you second guess your beliefs on God?
Right.
For me, when I saw that, I thought that would be a question that a lot of people would ask.
Right.
And I always look at, I'm not so much of a religious person, I'm more of a spiritual person, knowing that a lot of things that I've been through in life and that I've seen people come through, I know it's a blessing.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? So I had to question that, what went on, and say, is this something that it's a sign that's being shown to us? In that, you understand what I'm saying? Is it something that we're supposed to see that happened within that perimeter? That guy coming in shooting 9 people.
Mm-hmm.
Are we supposed to learn something from that?
So you're saying is that a message that whatever you've been believing in like all of these years, in actuality it doesn't exist?
What? No, my thing is because everything happens for a reason.
What is the reason that 9 people would get murdered?
We don't know. You understand what I'm saying? We don't know. People will live, people will die. People will die violently, people will die in their sleep.
Okay, but here's my question, and this is because I'm not religious.
Mm-hmm.
And when I proposed the situation on Facebook, like people were just like lighting me up,
Mm-hmm.
because they were just like, okay, well, you don't believe in God, and like people started what do you call it, like I am in me, and like preachers were wanting to save my soul, and like somebody said I should go read the Bible in private with no one else around, and then I would come around to doing that. Well, I grew up in the church.
Mm-hmm.
My grandmother was like Mother Teresa.
Mm-hmm.
From Monday through Saturday, she was quoting scriptures. She went to church all day on Sunday,
Mm-hmm.
and then Monday she cussed you out. So she was just like, what do we call it? She was like an angel on earth.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to Catholic school. I taught Bible studies. I was on track to become a preacher myself. So what happened for me is that I became educated.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And Mike's laughing, but the truth of the matter is that, Black people were subjugated. They were given reasons as to why, slavery was okay, because it's in the Bible. It's written in the Bible that Black people will be subservient and were subhuman because that's how God wanted it to be. So they weren't allowed to read books or be educated because knowledge is power. So then they would have an understanding of where all of this stuff actually came from. So I don't believe. So here's what I posed to people. I was like, okay, a preacher is a messenger of God. The preacher always says, you know, God spoke to me and God told me to tell you this. That's why I'm telling you this in church. This is my sermon. So you have a preacher that's preaching. The dude comes in, he sits in church for a whole hour. Okay, why didn't God tell him that, oh, you know what? This dude's coming in here and he's coming to kill me. So you guys better get up and you better start running because this is what's going to happen. Where was the message from God?
Are you serious?
I'm serious because the answer to the question is because there is no God.
Really? So what is so how did you get on this earth? I mean really
How did I get here?
Yeah, I
my
really
father stuck his penis in my mom's vagina.
How did man
rhythmically?
Where did the first man come
ejaculated?
from? How did the first?
Who knows that? Who knows the origin? Who knows the origin of life? Like who really knows that? Who knows how it happened? But it didn't come from Adam and Eve because if you want to, let's do the Adam and Eve argument. Two people were created. It was like 1 million years ago, right? Two perfect people were created. So they had sex with each other. They had kids. So how do they populate the species? Okay, those two kids, what are they gonna do? Have sex with each other? So you already have an incestuous relationship from the supposed Adam and Eve who were created. So how are they populating the earth? They were white people, right? She's blonde hair.
We don't know that. That's what it said.
That's how they're portrayed.
That's what it said.
Adam and Eve were created, and from those two people, all the different people were created and populated the planet. So they must have been getting in with each other. They're brother and sisters, right? Mom and dad, brother and sisters. So if you want to be consistent with the fantasy and the fairy tale, the Bible was basically created by men.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Men wrote it, and then a dude took it and he said, you know what? I'm gonna make my own version of the Bible. So when you're in church, like people are thee, thous, and those, and thuses, talking about some shit that don't even apply to you today. So religion is steeped in what? Economics and controlling people, and it's about power. So somebody decided like long time ago that they were gonna create the perfect system to control people, to centralize wealth, and then ensure that if you don't believe, then we're gonna put in mechanisms that keep you believing, because the consequence of not believing is gonna be what? We're gonna kill you. People don't know this. Like they sit around talking about, okay, the Bible, but they don't know where Christianity came from. Christianity came from pagan rituals. The concept of heaven and hell came from a religion called Zoroastrianism, right? That's where they borrowed this stuff from. Christianity didn't create the devil and then create heaven. Those came from a religion that was established 2,000 years before that. So once you start educating yourself and you have the courage to be able to say, I don't believe, it took me a long time. It took me a long time to get to that point. When I went through all of that stuff, when I'm thinking that God is talking to me one day, I'm laying in my room, I hear a voice. I'm just like, somebody call my name. And how I knew it is my grandmother told me that if you ever get called, when your name get called, it's calling you to be a preacher. That happened to me. I thought it happened to me because that's how I grew up in the church. I didn't have a choice. I was born into that, to believe in God. So when I got to the point, I was just like, you know what? Like, wait a minute, this is where this comes from. There's always been deities throughout history. Like every society, even in ancient times, they've had gods. So Christianity was just like, when they decided they were going to create something, they created the perfect system. If you don't believe, the consequences of not believing are death. So it's just like a cult. You build in these mechanisms for when people start to question their beliefs, you reinforce it.
Right. So do you believe in spirituality?
No, I don't.
You don't?
No, I've died twice already. And I can tell you that when you die, there is nothing. Like people talk about there's a light. If you don't believe, I'm not a believer. So I'm not a believer. So I don't believe that when you die, there's going to be a light at the end of the tunnel. You're going to feel this light and you're going to be looking over your body.
So when you
I was going twice, there was nothing.
There was nothing.
Nothing. Total blackness.
Maybe just admit you would go to hell.
No, but remember that hell is not a Christian construct.
You know something.
It comes from another religion.
What is religion? Religion is faith. Religion is
see, what you're gonna do is what you because you believe. Wait, hold on. Let me
tell
say
you, because you know something. When you went back and you told your story, because I grew up in the same, almost the same steps you have. I went to Catholic school. Actually, I went to a Catholic seminary, a seminary that teaches people to become priests and those steps. And you know, my direction, what I read in the Bible, no, I didn't take everything, and I still don't take everything in the Bible literally.
Because that is a man.
It is a man.
See, that's what everybody says.
It's a man.
Everybody says that.
Book, you know. So my thing is yes, I am a spiritual person who believes in God, you know, but that don't mean everything I read in every religion, everything that's out there is to be taken literally.
Right.
See, that's part of the process. Like the way you talk about stuff is like, and when you question your beliefs, it's like part of the mechanism is to have rationalizations. If you think about it from a purely logical point of view, it doesn't make sense. Okay, if you ask somebody, wait, you're gonna die, but you're gonna have eternal life. You dead. When you go to heaven, what you gonna be doing? Because when you die, you cannot take clothes with you. So you think about it, everybody's gonna be naked. Well, hold on.
But you got to think about.
No, hold on, because we're talking about the fantasy. We're talking about the fantasy element.
I gotta stop you because you say eternal life. Just because you say eternal life, that doesn't mean the same life that you have here on earth.
Okay, but you die and you go to heaven. Are you taking your? I'm wearing a black shirt. Am I gonna die and take this with me?
No.
I'm gonna be naked, right?
We don't know what your spirit is going up there.
Wait, spirit, but if you talk about things in the spiritual realm, okay, you talk about people who have died and their relatives come back to life and they see their relatives, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's scientifically impossible for anything to pass through another substance. If you can see it, it cannot pass through that. So people see their spirit people and they wearing clothes and they're describing, oh, you know, long form robe on. It's scientifically impossible to do that.
How would you? Okay, and let me say this. This is why. Is because not too long ago, and I think I told you this story too, and I didn't know what it was. Outside of my window, I get it was this. When you're sleeping at night, you feel this presence. Like when I'm laying in my bed at night, at times I feel this presence is just around my bed, you know, and sometimes even on top of me. At times, like if I'm laying on my back, I might feel like a presence on top of me, so I have to push it off. So this one particular night, I felt a presence that was like standing over me. And when I woke up, I looked outside my window. I kid you not, and I saw this this shadow. Now my bedroom is on the second floor. There's no way that anybody can get up there where I can see, you know, anything outside of my window. There is a shadow, a dark shadow. Right. 2 nights in a row, I see this shadow. To come to find out that it was an angel. Not only was it an angel, it was a death angel. And let me tell you why. That week that all that happened, I went to ABM. Right. That Monday, I was coming home on a plane. And I was, you know, kind of going through what I was going to do with chocolate radio and things of this sort. And I believe in science. I believe in science. I believe spiritually. In the Bible, no, I really don't, because those are man-made stories. We all have a story on how, what gets us through life. You understand what I mean? Right. Like period. So for that much, when I walked up the stairs, I saw Ethel M. Chocolates. My grandmother's name is Ethel M. So that kind of gave me a sign, like, you know, you probably need to continue doing what you're doing. You understand what I'm saying? That next Monday, my grandmother died. My grandmother was not sick. She was not ill. It was nothing. She died that Monday. The following Monday, her sister died. You understand what I'm saying? After that, Irvin's mother died that week. You understand? So it's like people has been dying around me since after I seen that death angel. So I do believe in God. I do believe in spirituality. In religious, not as much. I don't, because I feel like it is for me. I feel like, you know, it is something kind of cult wise. I do go to church, but it ain't for that. I go to church just so I like to be rejoicing around people.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
So basically, you take a culture of people who are, you know, not feeling great about themselves, and you have a person who's charismatic and they start talking. Wait, but I'm just saying this is how religion works, right? This is how people come into people's lives, and they talk, and they're good at articulating concepts, and they're good at motivating people. So this is how it works. This is how it took hold, right? Because most other religions, or whatever you want to call it, they were based on, okay, I'm gonna have this sacrifice, I'm gonna chop somebody up and then sacrifice it to the gods. So you have somebody coming on and they're talking about different concepts. What I'm talking about is, like, if you keep things in the real world terms, right? There's a difference between presenting an argument from an emotional point of view, which is basically what a religion is, and that's why you have so many different interpretations of it. And so
but we are emotional beings, though.
Right, we are. But if you look at it from a purely logical point of view, and try to look at things from how things happen in the real world, it doesn't make sense. But people still want to believe in it, right? So it's just like, okay, if you go to Mexico and the Mexican cartel kidnaps you, they got you sitting up in front of the thing, and they got a chainsaw and they're about to chop your head off. What I want you to do is start praying. If you believe in God, start praying, because you think, wait, because I know what you're gonna do.
No, what am I gonna do?
You're gonna give me a rationalization.
Who gonna give you rationalization?
So I'm saying you've lived your whole life this way, like Mother Teresa. Like, you've gone to church every day, you've been on your knees, and you pray. I'm saying in this example that I'm providing for you, just like the preacher who, this guy Dylan, comes into there, he's preaching on the pulpit and he gets shot. His intent was to kill the preacher and then kill himself. Everybody else jumps in, so he decides he's gonna shoot everybody else. He pulled the trigger. There was no bullets left.
Well, how do you know that was his intent? Were you there?
The witness, the surviving witness, relayed the story, and that's the story that has been reported.
I heard that he said, "I'm here to kill black people."
Where did that come from? That's not what happened.
That's what I heard.
We're talking about the black lady who was a survivor who told the story. That's what she said.
That's what I heard. I heard that he stood up in the church and he said, "I am here to kill black people."
That's not what he said.
That's what I read.
That's not what happened.
You understand what I'm saying?
Actually, then the thing is, I mean, there's going to be different things put out, but he wasn't on the pulpit, because in the video, and they do have video, he was sitting at the table when they was having Bible studies, and then after it was over and everybody was getting up, he stood up with his gun and said, "I'm here to kill black people," and start shooting. Now the survivor, the lady, the grandma and her grandson, they went to the floor and they played dead. Okay, and but she gave the story that she heard him say, "I'm here to kill black people."
Okay, but the thing is that when you're in that situation, you're inside a church.
Yeah.
You've lived your whole life believing in God.
Yes.
So at that moment, what does she do? She understands that it's about being real. So what I gotta do, I gotta pretend like I'm dead. Because if she starts praying, like, she's already seen him kill everybody else.
How you know when she was playing dead that she wasn't praying?
But it didn't stop. What I'm saying to you is that praying and a belief in God does not stop things from happening, because and the reason why, let me say this, and the reason why is because it does not exist.
Let me say this. When it's your time to go, it's your time to go, whether you praying or not. If you were called, you did.
Yeah, but see, you saying, like, everybody who believes in God says the same stuff, because that is how you're taught to believe.
So do you
Everybody
pray?
talks
So you
about,
don't pray. So you
no,
don't pray.
I don't. For
so
what?
If your 9-year-old was sick, and Lord forbid,
I'm not gonna pray. She doesn't believe. My 9-year-old doesn't believe in God, because we never taught her that. She don't believe in. There is no God. Okay. I didn't teach my child that there's such thing as a God.
Okay.
Just like I didn't teach my child that there's a such thing as a black and a white or different races.
That's understandable.
I did not. I didn't.
Views. But the thing is
it's not my.
But the thing is,
those are your views. Those are your views.
No, it's not my.
It is.
It's not my views, because I don't. If it was my view, then I would sit my daughter down and say, "You know what, daughter? There is no such thing as different races." I didn't do that.
You know something?
I didn't do that. I didn't say, daughter, there's no such thing as God. I didn't do that.
DeVoe, listen to this. Listen to that. Because God doesn't make the choice if you live and die. Let me finish. You talk. God doesn't make the choices if you live and die. God, to believe in God, his thing is, if you live your life for me in this way, I will have an eternal life for you in heaven, which is nothing like the life here on earth. And that's the thing. On earth, God gave people your free will on earth to do as you choose.
Okay.
In the Bible, in my understanding of the Bible, he never said, "Oh, I'm gonna stop this person from getting killed, but I'm gonna let this person get killed."
Okay.
The person did the shooting, had the free will to kill.
Here's what I'm saying.
But if you're a believer, there's a life after this life.
You know, what I was getting out. Let me say this. What I'm getting out, or what you saying is that if you believe in God, God's supposed to protect you.
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying. If you believe in God, He's supposed to protect you. There is no harm that's supposed to become of you.
No,
if you believe in, that's not it.
What I'm saying to you is that you cannot, like, you overnight, you cannot undo what you've been taught your whole life. You cannot do it. And the only thing that you're doing and Dog Pound Mike is doing, you're spitting back what you've been taught your whole life. And the reason why your religion works is because it's been this way for forever, because the mechanisms are in place to keep you believing. And what it is not a belief, it becomes a conviction. And convictions are harder to overturn. It's just like Jim Jones and his followers. And
I guess that's where your conviction is. Your conviction is that
no, I don't have a conviction.
Yes,
no, I don't.
I don't believe in God.
It's not.
I don't believe it. I already been there. I did it. It don't make any logic sense to nobody. So all of you guys that believe in God are stupid as hell. That's.
But see, that's not what I'm saying.
Yeah,
like you have a choice to what it is that you want to believe in.
Exactly.
But understand that what you believe in is based in fantasy and it's based in stuff that's not true. And something that doesn't exist. And because it doesn't exist.
But the thing is that the things that you were saying about Christianity doesn't start here, because I read it here in this other religion, and I read it here and here and here.
Those are historical facts.
You understand what I'm saying? Historical facts from where, though?
No, but what you're talking about is the difference between
all of these are people's stories that you are reading.
No, that's not a story.
You understand? It is.
That's not a story.
Where did they have any notes? Like what?
Okay, let me ask you this question. Do you think that the Bible? You think that you think that people when they believe in God, like it's hard to deconstruct that stuff. It's hard because it was hard for me. It was hard. I wouldn't tell people that I didn't believe in God because I was afraid.
You was afraid of what?
Afraid of the reaction.
What?
Oh, you don't believe in God? Because this is the way I was raised. I didn't have a choice.
Afraid, though?
Because when you're raised that way, when you're raised like that, you don't have a choice. It's just like, okay, we're talking about.
But this is your choice not to believe in God.
No, I'm saying we don't. When 88% of the black people in this country believe in God, 71% of the white people do. The reason why we believe in it, and it's a direct correlation between us and slavery. That's it.
So what about the 71% of the white people that believe in God?
What about them? It's the same thing. They're also perpetuating something that's not true.
All right,
so what happens?
So we slaves. Like we slaves.
He
the free. He's the free nigger. And we the slave ones.
You could believe in that, but I'm saying the reason why black people believe in that. I mean, they're in the slave house praying for how long? Nothing changed in their life. They were praying on their knees.
How you know that?
Because they were slave. Because they were enslaved and beaten and torn apart, whipped. Like their wives were raped. Like, and they were praying. And singing Negro spirituals.
But don't you think that's going to happen anyway? The thing is,
no,
it's not.
Okay, listen, because you believe and I don't. I live my life where, it's a fantasy, it's a fairy tale. Right. And guess what?
That's all right with you. And I won't call you not that I wouldn't say that it was crazy, that you was, that you was the devil or anything like that, because that's what your belief is. You understand what I'm saying? That's what your belief that there is no God.
The reason why we can argue about something purely from a logical point of view is that we can argue all day about opinion.
Yeah.
Right? We can do that.
Yeah.
But once it's a fact, there's no argument.
It's a fact to you.
It's not a fact to me.
Okay.
It's not a fact to me.
You.
It's not a fact
to
you. You haven't stated any facts. You really haven't
any facts about what?
About what you were saying.
Is there a man? Okay, there's how many billions of people on the planet? Let's say 5 billion people on the planet.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
If 5 billion people are praying all at once, they're supposed to be praying to one God at the same time. So he's able to process 5 billion prayers all at the same time.
We don't know.
Somebody says some preachers in the church, Creflo Dollar, whoever the motherfucker, Eddie Long, whoever he is. Okay, he's sitting there laying hands on motherfuckers, and then he's saying, "Bam, you cured. You come in here walking on some crutches. Guess what? I'm gonna lay my hands on you because God told me to do this, and you're cured."
So
You got cancer. Wait, hold on. Let me finish. No, I'm saying I'm being consistent with what people believe.
Right.
This motherfucker, Shabala Kosha. Wait, hold on. Shabala Kosha.
But you look at him you look at him as a person.
No,
but he's not a person.
What you're gonna say to me? Okay, but what you're gonna say to me is you're looking at him as a person, but he's not a person.
I'm not looking at him as a person.
No, I'm saying because those are built-in rationalizations to keep people believing in the cult. Believing in something that doesn't exist.
It ain't rationalizing anything. The thing is that from you to break everything down that you did.
Okay, Jimmy Swagger.
You read
Jimmy Swagger.
You read.
I'll pick a number of them, and you tell me
different books. You read different books, different religions.
I read the Bible.
Different everything. I didn't say you didn't.
I read the Bible.
You read them all, and your choice was not to believe any of them. Your choice was to say is that, okay, well, this contradicts this contradicts this contradicts this. I'm not saying that you're right or wrong because that is what you feel.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Can I finish? Because I'll let you finish all of your damn points. All of your points. But the thing is that all of your reasonings is because of something else said that something else was not right or where it wasn't created. That is what you said.
No, my reasoning is the truth.
The truth of what? Where is your truth coming from, honey?
Okay, wait. Let me ask you this question. I don't want you to give me an honest answer to the question. Okay, dude goes and he snatches a baby girl off the street.
Right.
Okay, he snatches the baby girl, puts her in the car, takes her off. He rapes her, slices her up in little pieces, puts her in a bag, and dumps her in the trash can. Okay, where's God in that?
What do you mean? Where God is that?
I'm asking you a question. Like, where is God in that?
Can I be honest? No.
You'll give me the free will.
You're not gonna let me answer my question. I'm being real, and I'm gonna be honest, real. I don't know. I don't know if he was there or if he wasn't there. Yeah, can I be honest? I am. I'm not perfect. You understand what I'm saying? So my thing is that even us talking right here, God might be sitting right here looking at both of us. You understand what I'm saying? To me, that could be happening. I don't know where he was at. It ain't like he's a human being that he's sitting there right there or right there or right there. And it is about free will. It is about choice. It is. Was that baby really supposed to meant to be here? We don't know that. You asked for my opinion. You asked for my answer, and I'm giving it to you. I don't know. And maybe that's what because you didn't know. So let me figure it out. And since I don't know, then you don't exist.
There's what's called the truth.
Can I answer that question?
It's called the truth.
Can I give my opinion to the answer? Because I can't give the true answer.
Right, because the true answer is not his answer. But the true answer is not his answer, so it ain't true.
You ask where God is at. You say somebody snatches a little girl, he rapes the little girl, then he cuts up in pieces and kills her and that. Maybe God was at the point where she died. Because if there was no God, she could have lived and been through that the rest of her life and live with that inside of her and live with that on this earth with it. So maybe God was there when she died and took her soul. If you want to ask me my opinion, but that's just my opinion. Because the thing is, your belief is if there's a God, should nobody be killed?
When none of this stuff happened.
No, that's not.
Then this world would be perfect. If there was a God, then that boy when it came in there and shot up all nine of those people. If there was a God, then there would be not. That is what you saying.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
What you saying?
What I'm saying? Because you keep asking me where is God at when these things happen.
I'm not saying if then. What I'm saying is it doesn't exist. I'm not saying if then. There's too many. There's too many examples to say that it does. No, hold on. Wait, let me finish. There is reality and then there's fantasy. Okay, if you're saying if there was no God, then this wouldn't happen. The answer,
that's what you said.
No, I'm just being consistent with the argument because when I pose a question, then I know what the rationalization is going to be popped back to me because that's how you learned it. It's instilled in you that way. Your brain is molded and shaped to be that way because in order for the system to work, your brain has to be receptive of the way the system works in order to be able to get your money.
No.
Yes.
No. This is I'm gonna say this because we gotta be closing out.
Yes.
You gonna believe what you believe, and I'm gonna believe what I believe.
It's not a belief.
It is. You believe in your truth. That's your truth. You believe in that, and it's okay. You know, because you say it's the truth.
This is what I'm saying.
You know,
okay,
but
this is a keyboard, right? Hold on.
Okay, so because you don't see him, and that's the thing.
No, it ain't because you don't see him. We don't see air. We don't see air, but we breathe in air.
Right, exactly.
Okay, air exists. It's quantifiable. Right?
Let
there are so many examples.
When you died, how did you come back? How did you come back twice when you died?
I wasn't dead.
I thought you died.
But I'm saying, if I was dead,
no. How was you not dead if you died?
I wasn't dead.
That don't make any sense, does it?
Okay, let me break. You know something? Let me hit you with something on your own. Let me hit you with something on your story.
That nigga said I died twice.
I wasn't dead.
What happened with that? Oh, I wasn't dead.
I was not dead.
What is your definition of dead?
Dead is
his
you dead.
eyes was closed. He was asleep.
No, my definition of dead is dead. You dead. Your heart, your brain's dead. You ain't coming back. If you dead, you're not coming back.
Okay, so you was never dead then.
No, I wasn't.
No, he was never
saying
dead.
That to illustrate a point.
Right? No, the point is gone.
Because people that say they died,
the point is gone.
People say they died, and guess what? They see, ooh, I see this light. Ooh, it just I had a warm glow all over my body.
We don't know what we see, but this is I'm gonna say this.
When you dead, you dead. You ain't coming
back.
But
my dad was passing away, and it was the craziest thing. All of us was in the room, but my sister. And at that time, we all talked to him, and we all said, "Dad, you can go." My mom said, "You know, John, you know, we all here. It's time to leave." And then someone turned around and said, "Where is my sister?" They said my sister's name. And my dad was flatlined. And as soon as somebody said, "Where's my sister?" he came right back up, moved. The thing went down, went up. Shaw came back in. At that time, she came back in and she held my dad. And then that's when he flatlined. So you can't tell me that.
But what did that have to do with God? Maybe he just wasn't ready to go yet.
What you mean he wasn't ready? No, he wasn't ready to go till that. He wanted to make sure that all of his family was there. You understand what I'm saying? So through that, it went through a whole prayer thing.
Okay,
I'm big on prayer.
Okay, you are, but here's what I'm gonna say.
Yeah, I know you are, but I'm praying for you.
But here's what I'm gonna say. Okay, we are human,
right?
And because we're human, we have the capacity to do great things. Our minds can do shit that's probably unfathomable to other people. It's just like you have a feeling, you have a sense about something that makes us human. Like you can read thoughts that somebody's gonna say. You know what somebody's gonna say sometimes, and that's just attributed to being human. That's it. It's nothing else. It's nothing supernatural. There's no other being up there like listening, controlling stuff. Because what happens when you talk about Christianity, because there's hundreds of other religions that don't have the same core set of beliefs. There's different wills. Like people operate like Buddhism, like Hinduism, like whatever that is, or being Muslim, Islam, like all that. It's all different. Everything is different. So it's like I attribute all of that stuff to us being human. That's it.
All right. So we're human. We're gonna all be human right now. A human race. This is a great show. This
Homo sapien sapien. From the man who knows all about everything except those 3 ingredients that make you black.
All right, guys. I hope you guys enjoy. We off? Oh, I hope we we're looking at. I'm looking at Mike through the thing here. I took off his headphones and everything, and I'm like, "Are we off?"
I had a blast.
I did too. It was good. Even you know, but I'm right. But I'm gonna pray for you though. I swear to God, I'm gonna pray for you
because that's what they did on Facebook.
Wait, the next time you come to my house, my mama gonna be standing at the door with some blessed oil.
You know what? I could be a great preacher because I have a great story. I have a great story.
No,
sinner.
No.
And the Lord says.
No. All right, guys. This is your girl Nyomi Banxxx.
And Alexander DeVoe.
We will see you next week here on Chocolate Radio The Live Show. Make sure you guys follow us at chocolateradio.com on Instagram.
And Choco the Live Show
on Twitter. Right? And Chocolate the Live Show on Facebook.
Exactly.
And check out the video will be playing on chocolateradio.theliveshow.com.
Right.
All right. All right. Always keep it sexy, folks. Peace.
Wow.